is Raul Ramirez of the Catch Wrestling Alliance. We help you elevate your grappling, and together we keep real wrestling alive. Thank you very much for joining me. We're going to be talking about like one of the most important things that help make you successful. Actually, it's not even just grappling, but like whatever it is you might want to do. But before that, let's go ahead and just go over all the general announcements. If anybody ever wants to train with us, and if you're in the Los Angeles area, or if you're going to be visiting the Los Angeles area in Southern California, we train at Fight Science MMA. If you happen to have access to the UCLA John Wooden Center, their gym there at UCLA, we're at UCLA, and you can train with us there. And then let me see. Oh, so if you're on the East Coast, go ahead and train with my good buddy John Strickland out there in South Carolina. It's like it's almost like make the pilgrimage. It'll be worth it, right? If you're on the East Coast but you're not in South Carolina, just go. Go see John, see the best person on the East Coast. If you're nowhere near there, feel free to join our online academy. There's a really cool feature besides all the lessons and stuff, like the curriculum and all that stuff. But we also have this really great online community, which is kind of like a Discord server, but it's only for our students. It's really cool. You can ask questions, and there's tons of extra instructional videos and stuff there based off of your questions, and like whatever you need from a catch wrestling perspective. It's all in there. So it's really a great value. So you can check that out on our website. That's our Catch Wrestling Alliance Academy. So with that being said, let's get to the topic at hand here. So a lot of times people like wonder if it's only like, and actually we've talked about if coaching is like the only thing that you really need. And of course, I think you know that coaching isn't the only thing that's going to help you become successful at winning in catch wrestling, or winning in whatever sport, or even like even your job, and whatever it is, that it's kind of like a mix, or it's the end result of a lot of different things. But a lot of the times you can help yourself by thinking holistically about the situation, what your goals are, what you want to accomplish. And by doing that, or thinking in that way, ultimately the result is the environment, right? So speaking kind of like with regards to like psychology and stuff like that, for someone who is struggling with maybe a certain behavior, certain mindset, a lot of times to create like lasting results, you have to really put in the work to change the environment that you're in, so that you're not making the same mistakes over and over, because a lot of times the environment will kind of dictate the behavior. So if you're in like the wrestling context or the gym context, right, then say like we've talked a lot about like the value of coaching, right? So like say if you're in a gym that has like a really negative coach that's trying to really tear you down and thinks that that's the way to build you up. The research shows that that's really not the most effective way. Actually, a more empathetic, encouraging environment is really what creates more success in the gym for each athlete. So you know that part of of the pie, right, of that part of the puzzle is not there, right? Also, too, and actually, I may have a little list here, right? So, of course, we already talked about the qualified and experienced coaching, right? So then we mentioned how like the coaching really also should be positive and supportive, right? So that should extend to like the culture of the members of your gym, right? So I'm gonna just look at my notes here and kind of read off of here. So it's like if the culture of the gym is encouraging, respectful, and focused on teamwork, right, will help the wrestlers feel comfortable pushing themselves and learning from each other, right? So that is ultra important, because you can have maybe some famous coach, but then if everyone in the gym is just like a total jerk and like they're ultra competitive, where they're thinking about just like tearing you down so they can look good in front of the coach and then maybe get selected for whatever team or whatever. Because like yeah, say like nowadays in jiu-jitsu, like the whole quintet format is really popular. So maybe you could, maybe someone was just like trying to tear everyone else down so they can be selected for the quintet team. That's really not like the environment that breeds like excellence amongst the majority of the students, right? So kind of not the environment you want to be in. Okay, so then so think about that. So then another part of like this big puzzle or the big pie that uh, like where the end result is your success or the higher chance of you being successful in whatever sport, or let's just say catch wrestling, right? Uh, so a safe and well maintained facilities, right? So you also got to have great. This might seem simple or whatever, but yeah, you gotta have a good mats and like safe practicing. So I'll just go ahead and read from the notes. Like, so training in a space that should be clean, well lit, have adequate equipment. Luckily for wrestling, I mean, you really don't need much equipment like whatsoever. You pretty much just need a mat, right? But it's like back in the day, they go out to the grass, right? Go out to the field. But you definitely want uh, things that minimize the risk of injury. Um, so you got to start with, of course, like the facilities themselves, but then also the positivity of your training partners, also your coach. The coach should know, how to keep you safe as well, or at least it doesn't mean that you won't get injured or that you're never going to get injured, but you can minimize your chances of getting these injuries that are just like not necessary, right? You got to be ready for competitions, whatever matches you might, or whatever tournaments you might want to compete in. You don't want to be injured, and you definitely don't want to be getting injured during training, because that's the worst. You don't get it. You like, if you're injured and you can't compete, then you won't be able to show people your skills, right? All right. So, with regards to training, then um, you basically want to look for structured and progressive training. So, what does that mean? Right. So, the training program should be well defined, challenging, tailored to your skill level and goals. It should incorporate a balance of technical drilling, conditioning exercises, live wrestling, and mental preparation. So, that kind of goes back into a lot of the whole thing where it's like when you have all these components, where you have a really positive coach, but a positive culture in the gym where everyone's like always working together, not trying to hurt you, not trying to tear you down, then you kind of get all this, it's called reinforcement from all these different areas of your training. So like when you're in the gym, you're kind of setting yourself up to uh, be ultimately more relaxed, right? Because that's when you're not stressed out, then you can actually learn easier. So if you're doing if you're kind of doing the program or doing your training where kind of one step leads to the next thing, where you can then become accustomed to doing things that are a little bit more advanced or more like technical, that's kind of the way you want to proceed, where it's like step by step and not just like being in a place where they just do these random techniques and nothing is connected to each other. And so it's like you don't quite get an understanding of how say how the catch wrestling is done if you're just like in an area where they're teaching random like submission chains or something like that. And so then like you don't have any clue of like how to get there, how to get to like that submission, because you don't know the wrestling, you don't know how to wrestle someone, you don't know how to hold them down. So then they're just going to get away from you when you roll. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, where it's like you definitely need that structure there. You need kind of like that foundation. so that later on, once you have that great foundation, of course you can do more creative like submissions and stuff, but you're never going to get there unless you have that great foundation. Okay. Oh, my cat's chewing on the microphone wire. Let me just push him away here. I fed him already, but okay. All right. All right. So next thing. Okay. Open communication and feedback. So encourage open communication between coaches and wrestlers. Wrestlers should feel comfortable asking questions, providing feedback, and expressing any concerns they may have. So, yeah, if something feels unsafe, or a lot of times if something just feels weird, like uncomfortable to your body, then, chances are you, like, say, if you're the student and you're learning something and it doesn't feel quite right, a lot of times it's not like the technique is wrong. It's like you just don't quite know how to do it most of the time. So it's kind of why, or like say if you ever comment on a video where you see someone doing something and then they'll be like, oh, I tried this technique and it didn't work for me or whatever. Like a lot of times it's like just they never really learned how to do it. So then once you learn how to do it right, then again, that's like step one. And then the next thing is like trying to hit that move during sparring. That's like the next step so that it actually becomes a successful technique that can be added to your repertoire of skills and abilities during your training. So there's basically a lot of things that go into you becoming successful at grappling or wrestling or your jiu-jitsu, your no-gi or whatever. So you definitely want to be thinking holistic. And even if you're in the gym and it seems like one of your teammates only started like a year or two ago and like they're already really good or whatever, like don't necessarily compare yourself to them. Some people might absorb the techniques faster, but don't feel like there's anything wrong with you. It's just truly, I think on average, these things, these principles take a while to become embodied in your kind of like the way of thinking, like the way of doing things when you're actually wrestling. So you've seen people like really take to it and like it seems kind of intuitive to them, whereas other people might take longer. But ultimately, like if you stick at it, if you stick with it, then you'll get better at it. And that's one of the things. But also things that would hinder you from getting better. Again, it's like any one of the things I mentioned. And a lot of times it is like I guess a couple of the major things would be, say, like the coaching and then the other teammates, right? So if they're really negative, trying to tear you down, trying to make you feel bad about yourself, like not beating them, or if they're just bullying you and stuff. Right. So I don't know if anybody's seen like the whole Cobra Kai thing, or at least the original Karate Kid movie, where it's like that Cobra Kai gym where it's like the big bullies. And so it kind of actually it's kind of funny. That is like probably a pretty good example where it's like you have like the bully coach creating bully students, and then ultimately they get beat by the humble guy and who has like the good coach and created a good environment for the guy to learn and all that. So he kind of embodied the techniques. That ultimately is really simplistic. So don't think you need to find your Mr. Miyagi or anything like that. But the idea is that there are successful athletes that come from all kinds of training. So, but ultimately, when you're talking about like research and statistics and stuff, usually the most successful, at least kind of like for longevity and you feeling better about yourself, and at the end of the day, it comes from more like empathetic training from your coach and training in a positive environment where everyone's like friendly to each other and helping each other out and learning from each other. Then these other things that I mentioned are kind of like the supplementary, like of course you want to be training in a safe way, right? And also having safe and well-maintained facilities, and just having that communication, right? So all those things will really, really help you become the most successful athlete that you can be. So it doesn't matter which sport you want to be trying to learn from, uh, or learn in these more like supportive environments. And like don't even worry if someone says you got to have some kind of drill sergeant as your coach. Is just not true. It's like, and it's been proven in all kinds of sports, like NFL, basketball, all whatever, all the biggest sports. They put a lot of research into like coaching styles and what's the more successful coaching style. So I think all the sports, they expect you to train tough. So you definitely want to be putting in all the work, right? So not just the time in like doing the grappling or doing the basketball or whatever. You got to be putting in the time in the weight room and doing cardio and stuff like that to be like in the best shape, right? And you also have to be doing the stretching. I think that's like one of the things that tends to be missing overall in just like a lot of different like professional athletes or professional athletic programs. So you're seeing people getting these injuries, like hamstring injuries and calf injuries and stuff. A lot of times that comes from the lack of flexibility more than anything else. So you definitely, like I said earlier, you'd want to be thinking holistically about your training and how to be better. But all these different pieces of the puzzle really come to environment. So creating that positive environment is going to make it easier for you to go train, like to want to go train. Even making it a habit to train, like putting it in whatever schedule, however, if you have whatever calendar on your phone or whatever, or if you write it down, making a habit out of training, all these things will make it easier for you to develop that habit, to show up, to want to show up, because you're going to be going to a positive environment. Your coach is going to provide that positive reinforcement, but they also know how to teach you the techniques and in a safe way. So you're minimizing your risk of needless injuries. So when the time comes to do your tournament, then you're not injured and you're like at the like 100%, or at least near 100% with regards to your cardio, your strength and conditioning, your knowledge base. You're also there like kind of like psychologically, right, where you're not like overthinking it. You realize this is a game. You're going to be trying to have fun. You're going to be trying to win, but you're not going to be devastated if you don't win, right? It's just to kind of see how you are that day, like where you're at that day. And if you win, fantastic. If you don't win, then think of it as an experience to see what you might be missing in your training, or what you might need to work on, like maybe what your weak, basically what your weak spots are. So the tournaments and stuff are great. But yeah, there's a lot of things that go into like having that mindset to compete. So again, it starts off with that environment. So a lot of times you don't necessarily want to be in an environment where everyone's just like too gung-ho about like training, or like what I mean is like maybe they're a little too aggressive, they're a little too competitive in the gym, where where it creates a negative environment, because a lot of times those people don't have the longevity in the sport, right? They'll kind of burn out real quick. So actually there's several books about this, but like documenting the kind of like the shorter like span of, like, say, a lot of collegiate football players, and if they do go into the NFL, if they've had like bad coaches, or if they're in negative training environments, they keep these negative aspects. So whether it's with mental aspects, or even when they play, they try to bully other people on the field. Even if they move from a negative training atmosphere to a more positive ones, they like it's still it still takes a while for them to stop fouling people in the sport, whether it's like basketball, football. So it's like it takes a while to get kind of reprogrammed. So you really, if you have the ability to find a gym, try out different gyms, see which one has the best vibe for you, more positive, where everyone's helping each other. The coach seems to know what they're doing. Of course, they don't. The coach doesn't have to be some like famous whatever guru or anything like that. If you guys vibe right, if you feel like that person has like your like they have the best intentions for you, and like they really want to help you to become the better athlete, that's probably going to be the place you want to go. Like they don't have to be famous or anything. That you can learn a lot from a lot of people, because a lot of people, like especially say with jujitsu and stuff. I mean, here in Los Angeles, it's like we have jujitsu gyms like almost every block almost. So you have a lot of choices. Um, so if you're in that type of environment, like if you're in a big city and you got jujitsu everywhere, then yeah, take the time to try out different gyms. A lot of times they offer like a free week of training or whatever, so you can go and test them all out, and then see which place kind of ticks the most boxes, right? So again, also actually, well, I did mention the whole clean environment. That's actually super important. You don't want to be getting all kinds of like skin infections and stuff. And also if the mat's just like so like beat up and they're not even thinking about replacing it, you can totally get all these random needless injuries from that. So um, just like yeah, to keep an eye out for all those things. But because all these things are, even I kind of think of like the equipment and stuff as like kind of being like the smaller piece of the puzzle, but it's still pretty important. You want to have a good facility to train in, but then the other things that are really going to feed your brain and your mindset are like the culture of the gym, and then that kind of goes up to the coach, where it's like if they're positive, then and they create an environment where everyone is helping each other and stuff like that, then it's great. It'll probably be a great place for you to train at. So yeah, take those things into consideration, because if you like say like jujitsu or nogi or whatever, and um, like if you're feeling like you're kind of getting burnt out on it, it could be like the environment more so than you actually being burnt out, right? Of the like you're probably not in a position where you don't like it anymore. It's just maybe you got sick of that gym, right? So think about it. If you're feeling any kind of way where you're just not enjoying something that you just seem to like so much, it might not be that it's no longer for you. It could just be the environment, because that's so important. So in all kind of aspects of if you're there's kind of something negative in your life, right? A lot of times it's um, breaking certain bad habits, even if it's like not athletics. A lot of times it requires you to change the environment, right? So then these bad habits or these negative things uh, like have less of a possibility of happening. So those are my 2 cents. Hopefully, that all makes a lot of sense for you. Maybe gives you something to think about. Because I think maybe we're hearing it more and more. I think because like more of the research kind of like has permeated throughout like the news and with like all the sports news and stuff like that. So you kind of know about like the importance of coaching and the importance of having a good team, but it's good to kind of reinforce that, and then you can like, and then you should know that. Like, say if you didn't know already, trying to implement these principles in your daily life outside of sports, it's kind of the same thing. Where it's like it goes back to creating an environment where you don't have the bad influence, right? So um, and so that's kind of like what I'm talking about today. And of course, there's the other aspects too that I didn't mention, of course, like sleep and whatever, hydration, all that stuff. But today we're just talking about kind of like the gym environment. Uh, because I mean, you should know how, you should be drinking water, you should be should be eating your vegetables and all that, and going to sleep. at a reasonable hour, right? But yeah, so just know there's more to the pie or making the cake or whatever, making whatever the salad or whatever. When I try to talk about, try to use something healthy in the analogy or whatever instead of like cake and pie or whatever. Uh, so if you're making something healthy, so, there's so many different ingredients to go into it. So yeah, environment is like majorly important to creating like a way for you to keep the good habits. Right? So that being said, hopefully you can implement these things, or hopefully you can take that into consideration if you're looking for like a new school to train at, or if you've wanted to train you haven't started training. Like if you go try out different schools, yeah, take that time to try out different schools. You might find one that seems cool at first, but I would say you don't have to stick there. You should still look around, and because one might fit you even better. So if you're in a city where you have the ability to like try out different schools, like go for it, try them all out, and see which one works best for you. But think about, like, say if there is some kind of like a Cobra Kai kind of aspect where it's like, you got this kind of coach where he's a little too aggressive, a little too aggro, and everyone's a little too competitive. um, and if you're attracted to that, think about like why you're attracted to that, because ultimately it's not uh, the most successful style of teaching. So maybe you can think about that, where it's like, yeah, we like research has shown the more successful style is the more kind of nurturing gym environment. And why might you be attracted to the less successful style, even though they might have some good athletes there? Ultimately, it might not be the best environment for you to learn. And it could be an environment where you do get injured, or people aren't so careful. They don't really care about your safety. They might just care about winning. Because actually, earlier today, I saw a video where it's like it was kickboxing, but like some really good kickboxer is just like knocking out his training partners and stuff like that. So a lot of times you don't want to be in that type of environment, even though there might be a successful athlete in that gym, because they might not have the most longevity, right? They might training too hard, or sparring too hard. Sometimes you take injuries, especially like in striking sports and stuff. So um, so you might the result might be that you just get injured and you can't do what it is you want to do. So safety is definitely something you want to keep in your mind. So if something seems too unsafe, it might not be the gym for you. And actually, that was one of the things that happened at UCLA, where we had these big guys who came to train, and they said that UCLA wasn't the first place they tried. They went to one of our local MMA gyms here in LA, and even just because they were big, they were beginners, and so they didn't really know like punching and kicking and stuff. But just because they were big, the coach at this gym like just wanted to like unload on these guys, and so just because they were bigger, I guess the coach assumed that they were capable, and but yeah, just because someone's big doesn't mean they know what they're doing. And so these guys ended up coming to my class at UCLA, uh, saying that, yeah, we're just complete beginners. We really don't know, how to, throw punches and kicks properly. And but we were just in an environment where, they were just beating everyone up in the class. And so we don't want to get injured, and we actually want to learn. Right. So yeah, it is the environment where it's like, these people knew that they wanted to learn something, but they recognized that they were in a negative environment. So then they searched and found an environment that was more positive, where they could actually learn. Right. So it's important, and especially if you like say catch wrestling or nogi jiu-jitsu and stuff, like don't don't quit. Try to just find the place where you feel like you want to go feel like the place where you feel like you want to be. All right. So hopefully this helped you out. If you want to help us back, you can always join our channel on our YouTube channel. You can we have channel memberships there that really helps us out. If you want to train, you can always learn on online. So the CWA Academy on our website, catchwrestlingalliance.com. You can also train with us in Los Angeles. We're at Fight Science MMA. So yeah, we're at a crazy MMA school. That's good. Now, actually, we're in a pretty positive MMA school. There are a lot of kickboxing classes. It seems like they're building a really great environment of people who are doing kickboxing. They got a lot of people training, and they're doing a lot of local competitions and kickboxing and stuff. So it seems like a pretty positive environment overall. Like I said, I'm not there all the time, but when I'm there, it seems like everyone's like really helping each other out and stuff. So yeah, seems like a cool place, and it seems like it's getting better and better. Like it's expanded, and they got nice mats and stuff. So it seems like a good environment to check out. If you want to train and you only want to do catch wrestling, you don't have to become a member of that gym. You can always just drop in, and so there's no need to join, right? So if you're not interested in doing our kickboxing classes or whatever, that's totally fine. So let me see. I think you learned everything, right? You know how to contact us or to join the channel membership on our YouTube channel. We have a bunch of extra videos there that I post. So you know all our social media and all that stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, or you can leave a comment, especially on our YouTube channel. Feel free to comment there if there's any topic or any question you might have. So hopefully this helped. Think about it, because I mean, if you want to be competing and if you want to be successful, right? There's a lot that goes into that, and so you want to think holistically. Don't just think like, oh, there's only or like there's a jiu-jitsu class, so I'm just gonna go take it. And if you have options, different gyms, check them out, check them all out, because usually they all have like a free week or a free month or something, and to try them out, check out the environment. All right, so because all these things, right, really help you to become a better athlete. And so say like, just like us here at the Catch Wrestling Alliance, we want to help you elevate your grappling so that together we keep real wrestling alive. Thank you very much.